Jahangir Khatak. I am the co-director of the Center for Community and Ethnic Media at the J School. Uh, I join my colleague and the center's co-director, Karen Painter, in welcoming you to today's conference. I also welcome all of you on behalf of CUNY Graduate School of Journalism. Our Dean, Sarah Bartlett, also wanted to be here today, but she's traveling and will be unable to join us. But she sends a very warm welcome to all of you and very good wishes. The Center for Community and Ethnic Media is organizing today's conference as part of our efforts to support this media sector to better sustain itself in a challenging business environment. Based on our interaction with our friends in the media, we feel that there is information gap in the community and ethnic media regarding city and advertising agencies' advertising practices, and also non-advertising revenue sources. Today's conference is part of our efforts to bridge this gap. We will continue to hold trainings and panels on the subject in the future as well, and will always welcome your suggestions to improve our events. In all, we will have 5 panels today covering a host of subjects considered key to marketing in today's changing advertising world. We are also fortunate to have Jeff Jarvis, a distinguished journalist, author, scholar, educator, and director of Townite Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the J School as keynote speaker. I'm sure you will learn a lot from Jeff's deep knowledge of this media sector. Before inviting our first panel of the day, let me especially thank, on the center's behalf and on my own behalf, the CUNY J School's Dean, Sarah Bartlett, Josh Stearns of the Dodge Foundation, Jeff Jarvis, Beeta Mustafi, Assistant Commissioner of Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, and several publishers for their help, support, and guidance in organizing today's conference. I also want to thank all the moderators and panelists for joining us today. Some of them have traveled long distances, and I thank them all. I'm sure you will benefit from their expertise and knowledge. Karen Painter and I also want to thank our colleague Jennifer Chang and our intern Chloe for their fantastic help and support. I am also thankful to Matt McWay, who is a coordinator at the Townite Center and who will be helping me in announcing the upcoming panels. It's over to you, Mac. I welcome you all again. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thanks, Jahangir. Hello, everyone. I'll be announcing all the panels today. Just to give you an arc of how all the panels are going to go, each panel will be 55 minutes long, and we'll have some time for a Q&A at the end of each one. I'll introduce each panel, and the panelists can say a bit more about themselves when they participate in the discussions. And the last part of each session, the panels will take questions from the audience. Jennifer Cheng and Jahangir will have mics, so raise your hand, and they'll bring a mic to you, and you can ask your question. Our first panel of the day is Surviving in a Tough Business Environment. In this panel, publishers from the community and ethnic media will discuss the many challenges they face and how they're tackling them. Elinor Tatum, publisher and editor-in-chief at the Amsterdam News, will moderate this panel. Amsterdam News is the oldest and largest black newspaper in the city of New York and one of the oldest ethnic newspapers in the United States. Ms. Tatum was appointed in 1997, becoming one of the youngest publishers in the history of the black press. She began at the paper as a journalist covering local and national issues affecting Harlem and the black community. In addition to her career in journalism, Ms. Tatum is a philanthropist and holds many civic positions. Josh Schneps is the co-publisher of Schneps Communications. Cara Marcano is the publisher and CEO of Reporte Hispano. Isseu Campbell is the publisher of AfricanSpot.com and Joe Way is the managing editor at the World Journal. They'll all join Elinor on this panel. Detailed bios of all the panelists are available on the conference page we've created. I'll hand it over to you, Elinor, to get things started.
Thank you so much, Matt. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I see some familiar faces in the audience. It's great to have you here. As Matt said, I am Elinor Tatum, publisher and editor-in-chief of the Amsterdam News. I've been with the paper now for 22 years. It's a family-owned newspaper. My father owned it before I did. He passed away 7 years ago. But when I got to the paper in 1994, we had a piggy bank. We had money in CDs. We had a savings account. We had an operating fund. We were flush. We were doing really well. Over the next 10 years, we saw those savings go away. We saw over those next 5 years us having to put money into the paper every week rather than getting anything out. The economy tanked. We found out that black newspapers are the last to get the advertising and the first to get it taken away. But that's probably the same with all ethnic newspapers. So we were at a crossroads. What do we do? Well, we have to serve our community because nobody else is. So we tighten our bootstraps, cut back, and keep on producing with less and less, but having a greater and greater need. So today we're talking about how to keep on going in an economy that, well, quite frankly, sucks for newspapers. In an environment where the printed paper is in some ways becoming obsolete, but for our communities, for some reason, it's not. And we have to figure out how to capitalize on that. So we've got a great panel in front of us. I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves, give a quick 2-3 minute intro, and then we will get into questions. So let's start with Joshua Schneps.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to be here. I myself also am part of a family business. My mother started our business 30 years ago, and I've been working with her now for about 15 years. She's told me, and we have an agreement, that I would have to carry her out before she'll retire. So we're very active business partners. In terms of ethnic media, we do publish a Spanish language newspaper. My mantra with our business has been diversity. So maybe it plays into ethnic media, but what my biggest goal with our business is diversity in terms of print, digital, and events. To be able to build out a business that isn't reliant on one individual entity, one individual newspaper, one individual event, one individual website, is for us to be able to offer both our readers and our clients, many different ways of gaining visibility. We publish about 15 different print products. Some are weekly, some are monthly, some are quarterly, some are annual. We now have a stable of 3 digital websites that are kind of their own entities. We recently relaunched our websites under their own brands. So for instance, in Queens, our flagship newspaper is Queens Courier, but our digital asset is QNS.com. And Katarina, who's our digital editor-in-chief, is here. And she's done an amazing job with building a digital team to be able to build a digital business, to be able to build a website that's going to really have significant reach. And with significant reach, we hope will come advertising dollars and something we're investing in. We have a whole slew of events that we do. We produce over 20 events a year, and that division is called the Star Network. And I think print is not dead. People say, that print is dying. I think it's very difficult to own one newspaper or 2 newspapers. I think that's what you're seeing even in like these large-scale public companies. There was just the announcement that the Tribune Company was just offered a huge sum of money. The reason why is economies of scale. And I think it's very difficult to run one newspaper when you can run 5 with just a few more individuals. Because as we all know, our biggest expenses are people, especially if you have good people working for you. So I think, for us, we're investing in a lot of new areas. I'm excited by our business. A large part of our revenue comes from newsprint. I can't believe people's faces that are so shocked by that. Yeah. Our newspapers are doing well, but are they going to grow at 10, 20% a year? No, they're just not. It's a mature business, but I don't think it's a dying one if you can run it well, efficiently, have high quality, and I think offer ancillary products to your advertisers to keep them working with you and be the market leader. I think that's, the other thing that we, always strive to be, is that if we're going to do something, we're going to do it better than everyone else. And that is an event, that is a website, or that's a newspaper or a magazine. So I look forward to the panel, and thank you again for having me.
Cara?
Hi, can you hear me? Turn it on. Okay. I'm Cara Marcano. I'm the publisher of Reporte Hispano. We're the largest Spanish language and Hispanic media company. We're actually the only Hispanic-owned, I think, media company in New Jersey. A lot of our colleagues in TV and radio are actually not Hispanic-owned. We're women-owned, and we've been in business like about 10 years. We are profitable in print. We run, again, the largest newspaper. We have a digital business. We do quite a bit of consulting, research. We have a full-scale translation business that supports the work of the newspaper. I am a journalist by training, and I've been on the business side quite a while. I have a lot of things that I wrote down to talk about. I'm not sure if we're going to jump around or, I think that, in sales there isn't really anything, there's no such thing as a bad economy. We don't, a lot of people like to talk about this, about how print is dying, and I think that we really need to get back to a conversation about critical reading and thinking, and that is why a lot of us are in this business and why we are going to stay here. And when the Wall Street Journal sends out an email and there's a statement that's not a statement, we really need to challenge that that's not in fact a fact. What is a fact? What is research and what is journalism? And I think when we move the conversation from this conversation about journalism to a conversation about content and about scale and scales of garbage, a lot of garbage is still garbage. So I think that we really need to talk about that, and I think that we need to stand our ground on a lot of these issues. Because we're not going away. We are the only voices for our communities, and by our communities we mean women, blacks, Latinos, the middle class, the people who want to drink clean water. Okay, so we're not really like messing around up here. I think that people forget what it is. And we're the people who read and who produce journalism that actually means something and that gives you a democracy. And the rest is a conversation, run right now by a lot of very powerful, wealthy people who are making a lot of money, telling a lot of things that perhaps are not true. And I think that, that's our job, to really ask those questions and to understand that when the Wall Street Journal sends out an email, and I love the Wall Street Journal, I read it in print and everywhere else, and the statement is not true, it's not true. It's not true. So if it's not true, or if it is true, show us why it's true. So I think we could talk a little about that in the media industry. In Hispanic media, we've done really well at adding an English language component. We're working with a lot of the nonprofits to make sure that we still really believe and stand for a Spanish-speaking population. We have a large Spanish-preferred, Spanish-speaking population. A lot of our content in ethnic media and in segment media is really about the language. It is still, for a lot of people, about the language. And it's also about a lot of other things, like the content, like being represented in your own media, in your own companies, in your own democracy, in your own conversation. And I think that these are the things that we really need to talk about, because we're not done talking about them. It's not, print is not dead. And, I think that there is no such thing as doing it at a loss. Not even a nonprofit does it at a loss. We're not doing it at a loss. And, I do believe in scale to some extent. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's very appealing to a lot of people. That's what they do. But I don't think scale is, again, we have a conversation about programmatic. I think we need to talk today about programmatic digital, what does it look like, what is it? What is digital journalism, and how are we going to pay for it? Programmatic is, there's a history in a lot of these brands, and I really believe in history and branding and marketing. And, we, at the end of the day, we have really strong brands. Reporte Hispano is our brand, and it actually really means something in our communities. Our brands stand for something. There are some brands in corporate that do this, and many that don't. And a lot of these people don't understand, branding and creating a brand of value and creating sales at profitability, because they can't do it. They're not doing it, even in their own companies. And then, so I think that we do that. Our brands are profitable. Our brands stand for something in our communities and in the world. And I think that we really need to hold our ground on that conversation. And I think we really need to talk about journalism, not just content, and about paying a fair wage and fair value, and about profitability. with costs. So like anybody can make money if they have no costs, right? And anybody can make money cheating, right? But only like somebody who's truly good at business can make money, you know, doing a good business and building a good brand, right? So I think that's also what we need to be talking about in media, you know? And I would love to talk to you guys more about it. Again, we're having really great success supporting the journalism with things like translation. We do a lot of consulting. Print is very profitable for us. It's very important, it's very profitable, it's very well documented to be an effective way to consume information. There's a ton of stuff on the front page of the New York Times today about texting. The mobile phone is great, and it's great to go mobile, but it's also incredibly addictive. It's like cigarettes. So today, 18% of the population, they smoke cigarettes. Does the majority of the population smoke cigarettes all the time? You know, does the majority of the population let their children smoke cigarettes, you know, at the kitchen table? I think that we should really talk about that, because I think it looks like in some ways that's where some of this is going, and it is going to swing back, I think, a little bit.
All right, thank you, Cara.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Isseu, Diouf, Campbell.
Okay. Good morning. Okay. Seems it's working now. Good morning, everyone. My name is Isseu Campbell. I'm the publisher of African Spot. African Spot actually started in 2009 after freelancing for a few years for a few media publication, including the Amsterdam News. I started in 2009 African Spot. The idea was to create another story, refreshing images of the African diaspora. I don't know if many of you probably, when you see images of Africa or the African diaspora, sometimes it's very stereotypical. So the idea was to create another story of Africa and the African diaspora living here. So we are bilingual, French and English. I was born and raised in Senegal, so the official language is French, and it was probably easier for me to just do it in French. But I believe that if I live in the US, I should also speak English, and so does the African diaspora that lives here. So that's the reason why we're doing it in both languages. Well, this is just a brief introduction. I will come back to the main topic, but that's basically what African Spot is. I will answer to the questions later, if you have more.
Joe Wei.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, great. Okay. Thank you very much for Jihani and Karen to invite me to join this wonderful panel. And let me just walk through a little bit about World Journal. The World Journal right now, I see my competitor, highly competitor, and my good friends, Ricky Ho, general manager from Xingdao, is here too. World Journal started in 1976 in Chinatown. Then we moved to Flushing, Queens in 1981. And in 89, we moved to College Point, Queens 2, right on the footsteps of the Western Bridge. We've been 40 years right here. So we see many, many changes. I joined the newspaper in 1988, so I have 20 years something with 30 years something with the newspaper. We witness many, many changes in terms of the demographic change of the Chinese American population in Chinatown, in New York City, and United States as well. We think, like everybody mentioned about this, though, we are facing many, many challenges in terms of whether the print newspaper can survive in this environment. However, I think being an ethnic newspaper, we still have a great future, potentially. We just have our high-level personnel change 2 weeks ago. Then we have internal discussion and estimate over a situation in terms of printing. And we do see the influx of the Chinese immigrants into this country in the last 10 or 15 years. So as long as there's an increase of people understanding Chinese and reading Chinese and learning Chinese, thereby our conclusion is why we shouldn't be very pessimistic about the printing or provided Chinese information in Chinese to our Chinese American people. So we do have a great potential. And the problem has become, how do we try to explore and grab this market? And that's become our problem also. And I just can divide a little bit in what we're doing right now as a World Journal. First of all, we have a printed site. There's a print media. It's a newspaper. We publish here as a headquarters in College Points. Then we have several branches around the country. We have San Francisco, we have Houston, we have Los Angeles. Then we have other branches out in Boston, all the major Chinese community over there. So the print media is our main power, which contribute about 90% to our revenues as far as the advertise goes, though. Then we have an internet that is worldjournal.com. That is a news outlet, though. And we do have, in the last 2 or 3, I would say 5 years, we do develop the mobile sites using smartphones. And then in the last 2 years, we try to develop the WeChat. That is the Chinese version of the Facebook. Then we do see these 4 different branches as a challenging. We are facing this challenge at the same time with all these different platforms. But we do recognize the fact is that the print media, our reporters, our translator, are the mainly content provider. So we generate the news and story and everything. So other departments, from whether internet or mobile or social media, they can repackage, they can rewrite it, they can do all the kind of format to play different platform to send out to our user. And also, I think, based on this kind of operating model, we can provide our advertiser have a more outreach to the ever-growing Chinese population in this country or in this city, though. So this is what we're doing right now. We cannot say we are doing very good, but I think this is the model so far we can figure out right now. And I believe my competitors also do the same thing too. However, we do recognize the challenge laid on in our mission. That's mentioned on this small fact sheet. That's a language barrier. Then how do we overcome the mainstream products or mainstream advisor provider to become a bridge between these two, our consumers, Chinese consumer community, and the mainstream advertising and products. So this has become our challenge in terms of how do we smoothly introduce their products to our community. In what way they can save money, also can facilitate the dialogue. Yes, I pretty much stop here.
All right, thank you so much. So first I have 2 really quick questions. These are one-word answers, basically. I want to know if each of you are audited and if you are certified as a WMBE of any sort.
My mother has been certified as a minority-owned women business. Mm-hmm. And we were audited by CAC. As we added titles, I think it started costing us $15,000 a year. So typically what we do now is just give our printing bills to people that want them.
We're in a similar situation with the audits. We have been audited. We have a history of an audit. We are moving away from that in the sense that we can provide the printer receipts and these kind of things. And for a variety of other reasons related to costs and to comparing. I mean, we're competing right now, for example, in the national and regional, mostly national level for advertising dollars against, this is not one word, sorry, against a lot of digital budgets. So as budgets move to digital from print or are created in digital, and the majority of those budgets are in what these people are calling programmatic advertising, which means serving ads, The history of programmatic is, well, anyway, we don't really need an audit in an environment where you have billions of dollars that are being shown basically to robots in digital. What we need is credibility and authenticity, and what we can offer that, selling our digital direct from publisher, and also doing what he's saying.
More about your print product.
Right, so we have an audit, we have a history of an audit. We aren't probably going to continue to be audited in that way because of its cost, and also because of, I personally believe that an audit needs to be done outside on the street, and most of the audit companies now are no longer actually going out and checking physically distribution points. And so we can show the printer receipt in a much more effective way to certify circulation, and also at a much lower cost to us. It's a good question, though.
You see that's another. So there's, right,
Can you hear me?
No, he's okay.
Okay, so we started can you hear me now? Okay, let me can you hear me? Okay, that's better. So I'll just hold it like that. So when we started in 2009, we were printing and we weren't really audited. So since 2011, end of 2011, we online. So it's not.
and so for both of you, are you certified as a minority women-owned business? It's just a question. It's
Yes,
not a topic,
we
but
are
just a second.
certified as a WeBank. We're WeBank certified woman and Hispanic owned. And I actually am very interested in this issue of procurement, diversity and procurement. We have the certification. And we have also all the government
that was the question
certifications.
for right now.
And
We're
what
gonna
we
get
need,
into
I'm not done. What we need
I'm sorry,
is for
but I'm-
corporate and the government to really begin to really practice diversity in procurement.
Okay, we started the process, but it's not.
Okay. Mr. Wei?
Yes, although we are paid circulation, we have never been audited, though. Yes,
been
right now,
audited?
yes. But our website do have provide the page
analytics.
view, the volumes and everything, yes.
Okay, great. Yes, we are both audited. We've been audited by ABC, which is now called something else, but I can't remember. Yeah, yeah, AMN, yeah, AMN. And we've been audited by them for the last 50, 60 years, since they actually started. And also we are WeBank certified. We are minority supplier diversity certified. We're New York State certified. So we've got all the different certifications, because there are a lot of different ones out there that are very interesting and can be very helpful, especially when trying to get government procurements. So what keeps you up at night? Start with Mr. Wei.
Right now, well, there are many things. Internationally, you know, we have a time differences between here and in Asia, so we have to look into the both sides of the issue and the timing, what happened though. So currently, we understand that right now internationally, I think it will be everybody. As far as I'm concerned, we are waiting for the verdict from international tribunal regarding the South China Sea issue, whether they're going to render the decision. You know, the South China Sea belong to international water or is it Chinese historical water. So they're going to be generate a lot of discussion and controversy also between the United States as a regional leaders. So you know, it could become a tough issue for a Chinese newspaper, because we understand that the American always been the leader around the Asia though, and the assertion of the China it become another issue. So we have to, from my point of view, we got to inform both, without understand both sides of intentions, and we try to provide. You know, this is the kind of issue I'm worrying about though, and locally. Of course, the Peter Liang's case, right? Everybody, former NYPD officer Peter Liang's case, they generate a lot of issue thanks to the social media. Then that is not just a Chinatown issue or Chinese or New York City issue, because WeChat's the Chinese version of the Facebook, it become a national issue. All the community around the country, they were being aroused by this issue. So we are still looking forward to what's going to be the next step in terms of Peter Liang's case. And it just for instance, a lot of things worry me, yes.
Isseu?
I would start by saying I think that one of the main problems with the ethnic media, it's short stuff and not a lot of money. So part of what is keeping me at night is to be able to have enough funds to be able to hire people that will work with you. The second, because the idea is to get advertisement, but we also don't want to compromise ourselves and our values. So we won't necessarily get advertisement from everybody. The second point which is very important to us, is to stay independent, and it comes back to the advertisement and not really compromising, and making sure that whether people like it or not, if it needs to be said, it's said. So the third point is to be able to find creative ways to keep the boat floating that are legal, but also, again, stays into the directions that you, the values and principle of the publication. That's all.
Cara?
Well, actually, I sleep very well right now. I'm very grateful for that, and I encourage everyone else to try to. I'm a really big advocate for exercise, drinking enough water, clean water, and I actually do sleep really well. I'm very blessed. I have, like a really great job, and I think that I try to keep my work and my life on the right side of history, and I really believe in the value of doing that, and I believe that we are on the right side of history in what we do. I think that we do good work, we build good brands, we speak for, important things, and we do it profitably. We don't pay anybody a minimum wage. We don't have a lot of people that work for us, but we don't pay anybody $7 an hour. And we wish we could have more people, and we wish we could have that scale, but we don't really do things that we're not proud of. And we try to have the brand stand for our own values and beliefs. So we very much believe in what we do, and it does drive sales. And so we feel it's incredibly capitalistic, and in that sense, great at building wealth the right way. I actually I'm not afraid of scarcity. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not in it just to make a lot of money. I think there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of money and don't really know what to do with it. They have this expression about, the golden age. A lot of people, when they're in the golden age, they don't know they're in it because they're so busy complaining about how yellow it is. When I see yellow, little tiny bit of yellow, like the thing is that scarcity can be good, because in a world of, say, so much scale, so say we have so much content, not journalism. Actually, if we produce one great story, or we're part of one great conversation, for example, this week about clean water in Newark, or whatever we're talking about, we don't really need to be telling 15 great stories, right? Because in a world of, scaled for garbage, if we're not garbage, we have value.
Okay, thank you, Cara. Joshua?
I would just say trying to continue to grow our business and how we do that.
Okay. Now, when you spoke earlier, Joshua, you were talking about the three-pronged approach: print, web, and events. Where are you finding the most success at this point? Because I know for us, the print product, advertising the print product is where the money still is. Aside from a few special events that we don't do a ton of them. But the web, the amount of money you get for advertising on the web is pennies in comparison to what you get in the print edition. So are you finding it the same way, and how are you trying to cope with that difference and the amount of time that has to be put into each of those things?
Yeah, well, I think I find the same thing. Print is a lion's share of our revenue. The events have really served to increase our brand visibility, and digital is just somewhere where I feel like we have to go. So we're investing a lot of resources, I know personal time of my own, and a lot of our other staff, but I do believe in its future. I do believe that it will have a successful business model, and one of the things that I can say is that it's like everything else in life. You have to do it in order to learn, and in order to grow, in order to become better at it. And we've been really investing in digital, probably taking it seriously for the last 2-3 years. We've been doing it for years, but I would say really investing in it like a business over the last 2 to 3 years. And I would say that we've exponentially learned. So just the learning process alone is something that I think is worth the investment right now. And I believe in it. I believe that it'll be a successful business model. It's not going to happen in the next year or two, but I would say over the next, literally like 5 to 10 years, it's going to be a serious business. So we're committed to it.
All right, so this is a question for everybody. What is your greatest success that you've had, say, in the last year? Whether it's print, digital events, or something else that we haven't talked about or touched on.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say that now we just online, so we're just doing digital, and we've seen that we having advertisement, and how it worked is because in the African community, what we've done is we started working together. by founding the African Publishers and Broadcasters Network, where you have people doing radio, some others publishing, and some others being on the web. So one of our clients was Lincoln Hospital. So what we did was we sent a proposal with ads going to the web and also audio, pretty much mixing it and coming together and sharing the money and not going necessarily separately to look for ads. I think that it worked very well, at least the first campaign we did. But the client came back to me saying, well, we don't have the same turnout that we had the first time during the first campaign that we had. And I have the feeling that that's one of the challenge, especially in the digital world, when you don't want to be too aggressive and having pop-up ads and things of that nature, when people will be bored quickly and say, let me get out of here. And you don't want to be too lay low, I think it's the word, and they will come not really see the ad, because the idea is to be able to sell that ad and to have them click on it. They can see it. It's different from the print, when maybe the format might be bigger. But one of the challenge, I think, in the digital world is to be able to create an ad not aggressive enough for the client to leave, but interested enough for him to click on it. So doing that campaign with Lincoln Hospital was a success, but then again, we're hitting a roadblock where we'll have to find a way to engage people and have them respond the way they did the first time. So that's what I.
What kind of partnerships are others on the panel using right now to help expand their brands and to help monetize?
WorldJournal.com launched the cooperation or partnerships with several major automobile sales dealers. In other words, like Toyota or Nissan. We're talking about the some major partner though, and we do have some community cooperation with some hospital, local hospital with World Journal. It's not World Journal. Well, like I said, World Journal right now is a content provider. Whatever we do in reporting the community or international news, everything goes on to the internet, worldjournal.com. Then we transfer to mobile, then to WeChat. So this is for World Journal concern, we are full-scale operation right now. So so cooperation is always going on between every different big advertiser though. As far as the news sites, last 2 years, we launched, I think it's a major effort though. We launched the video. In other words, we do have a reporter, rather than covering the news, taking the picture, they start shooting the video. And we also require the new reporter, the reporter right now to do two things. One is to put 200 words in Chinese into an instant messages. In other words, you can get from smartphones. You got instant messages and also put on the internet. The other thing is we ask our reporter to do the video, either 30 seconds or maybe one minute, depending on the events. So they can immediately or 2 or 3 hours later, they put the video into the onto the worldjournal.com. So I think this is two major service to our readers in the last two years. And another thing is we launched the WeChat service, and this one is still developing right now. We still, this is a brand new experience to us, and also the writing and the management of the Facebook is require a lot of manpower's attention to this, because in order to have your internet page, your Facebook page be popular, be active, you need to have someone, 2 or 3 people to manage that site. So that's become a burden. And also that person require a lot of legal and a lot of news knowledge and authority in terms of managing that. So we still try to find out the way to fine tune this. We do have a Facebook, and this is a new products called WeChat. We're still working on that right now.
Right. We only have about 10 minutes left, so I want to open it up for questions if there are any.
I just wanted to say one thing really quick about digital. Again, I just want to say something about Digital, really quick. Digital. Okay, so I think we've established that print is where we're making most of our money, and digital, we're very optimistic about it. I actually also agree with Josh on this, and I have very specific views about digital, and I'd be happy to share them. I just wanted to say that we support only direct from publisher digital sales, no programmatic. I can get into the history of programmatic, but you don't change the history of something. Programmatic is, garbage. We only support direct from publisher digital. That can be done profitably, it can be done well, and it is the best way to drive sales for our clients. We use Google successfully only for their SEO to drive folks to our website. That is their only function for us to make money. We don't support their current monopoly, and we don't support Google ads on any quality journalism website. None. Okay, none. It's a bad idea. Stop doing it. We need to stop doing it. We're really working to find the budget to stop doing it. If we wouldn't sell this stuff for pennies, we wouldn't get pennies. So another thing I've learned from being on the business side is you only get in money back. You only sell what you ask for. So if you ask for pennies, you get pennies. And guess what? If you ask for less than pennies and nothing, you'll get nothing.
Cara,
So I really want to stress the way to make money in digital is not programmatic, and also,
Not for you,
well,
but
we
for
also
them.
don't use Facebook.
Okay, so
Okay.
just,
I just want to say,
these are
direct from
all
the publisher.
opinions. Some things work for some people, some things don't work
Okay, well,
for
I
other
think it's very
people.
important.
And
It's very
let's
important
open
if-
it up
you know, okay,
to
thanks.
the audience to ask some questions. You've got a microphone right over there. Thank you.
For those of you who have ethnic publications, I'm curious to know, so really not Josh, but everybody else, except for maybe your Hispanic paper, what percentage of your advertising, and I'm really talking about the whole print and digital, what percentage comes from the Black community versus the community at large? For example, for Cara, for the Hispanic community versus the community at large, for Joe, same kind of thing, Chinese, and also for the African diaspora community.
Well, I mean, for the Amsterdam News, the majority of our advertising comes from national advertisers, actually. So Macy's, car companies, and then a lot of healthcare companies. And then our smaller ads come from the community. So whether it's, hair care or small theaters or small shops in the area or restaurants. But that is, it's steady business, but it is not the large numbers, the full page ads on a regular basis. But we do partner with a lot of community organizations, so the dollars aren't necessarily there, but the relationships are.
So the question is what is that ethnic makeup of the advertisers, or what is the?
What percentage of your advertising in Reporte and Hispano comes from Hispanic companies?
It's a pretty fair mix in terms of the quantity. In terms of the dollar value, what she's saying, traditionally we have made most of our money from the larger advertiser. That is changing, and we have flattened the rate card a lot. And so I can talk to you more about this, but basically it's very diverse, and we have a lot of Hispanics who advertise with us, and it's by no means everyone who advertises in a Hispanic newspaper is Hispanic, right? It's very diverse. New Jersey is one of the most diverse places. New York is one of the most diverse places in the world. It's really exciting. And so it's very diverse. Traditionally, like a company like Macy's or, in a perfect world, McDonald's would have paid like a fair rate. McDonald's is also in the New York Times today if anyone wants to read about them. Anyway, we've changed that such that in many cases, we're getting more money. We're selling at a much higher, more profitable rate to, say, a regional advertiser or a local advertiser, such that in many cases they're paying more than McDonald's. And again, this is called good selling, being good at sales, really believing in your product, and learning how to say no. When they come to us, some of these people who are large, and they say that we should do it for a certain rate, we tell them no, right? Okay, sure.
Okay. So we've got a question over there.
I will answer quickly.
Hello?
So when we were printing, I would say that most of the ads was coming from the African community. But when we went online, it got broader. But the other issue that we having is sometimes people will send you information or things of that nature and will expect you to advertise for them for free. And they don't, I don't know if it's specific to the African community, but sometimes it happens a lot where it's, yo, oh, this is happening, or we have this, and they just expect you as a member of the media. I don't know if they don't separate the personal relationship and the business. So sometimes it happens a lot, and you don't want to frustrate them too much, but you want to explain to them, well, I want to help you, but this is also, at the end of the day, a business, and finding a compromise, it can be sometimes difficult.
All right,
Yeah.
so
As far as World Journal concerned, there's about 1/3 World Journal advertisement from non-Chinese community. Verizon, McDonald, Macy, lots of them. We do have our advertiser people working very hard. They even brought in the Cartier, the Chanel, the all very high-end consumer products to our newspaper. So, and more importantly, I mean, in the last 2 or 3 years, because the affordable healthcare, Obamacare. So there's lots of health-related insurance company pouring money into the community, though.
Right.
So this is one general quick.
all right, so we've got a question back here.
Yes, hi, my name is Carolina. I'm from actually Brazilian press. And you guys were talking about financial difficulties to have a bigger team working for your organization. So my question, it doesn't have a lot to do with advertising, but do you prefer to buy news stories from freelancers who are living abroad, or to sponsor international correspondents to live abroad and produce that content for you? Do you actually have a preference? What are the difficulties?
Well, I mean, with the Amsterdam News, we have people that live abroad that provide us with content that are freelancers, but we do not have people that we have as staff abroad. And we also have a lot of people abroad that just want to give us content as well. And we do accept that. We also use certain news services like Global Information Network, especially for international news. Anyone else want to answer?
I can speak to this. So while some of you may believe in free content, I don't really believe in free journalism. So we really don't sanction that. We don't really take a lot of unpaid content like that unless, I mean, we do engage with PR people. Again, I think a lot of the PR budgets are not properly allocated because most PR people are not taken seriously by journalists. That's a different conversation. So no, I don't authorize or encourage people to accept free journalism. We don't do that. We aren't really an international product. We use a company called FA, which is a wire service. We take really very seriously things like copyrights, unlike other companies that claim to be media companies. We take that very seriously. We wouldn't run something without paying for it, right? Because we're journalists and we believe that our work has value and that we're deserved to be paid a fair wage for it. So we don't have a lot of foreign correspondents at Reporte Hispano because we're not really like a foreign newspaper. We're not the New York Times. We're not, and that world is changing a lot too. We do community news. We're the voice in our community in the New York area for Hispanics. So we have enough in our communities, enough to worry about in our own local, regional communities that, we really focus on that.
Thank you.
Yes, this question is for Josh. You mentioned that your business model is going to be a success, and you also mentioned that print is strong, but you are investing on digital. Can you just tell us a little bit more how you integrate that digital? How are you selling? More details about your new website.
Sure. So, how we're investing in it is that we have invested in developing our own technology. We had used like a third-party software that a lot of publishers had used for their platforms. And about 2 years ago, we hired a firm to build WordPress sites for us and kind of thought through how we could basically own our own technology. And it was a huge learning process. I could tell you it was a massive drain of money. So depending on your business, I don't know if I would recommend that yet. But for our perspective, we got to learn a lot by doing the process. And then the biggest thing that we're doing is investing in people. People that are coming from a digital-only background, that have no real newsprint affiliation. And it's been a mind-opening experience for us because they're bringing ideas that we're not even thinking about. So those type of people have really kind of changed, I would say, our culture, which I think every newsroom is trying to do, and I don't think you can do it without the right people. And it's basically working because our traffic is certainly increasing, You know, for us, we just have to figure out how to make money from it. You know, I think that's what everybody is trying to figure out, and I think it's just time. So, you know, hopefully, you know, our business can sustain making big investments in areas where we're not bringing in big dollars. But, you know, again, like I said earlier, I believe in it, and I think it'll, you know, pay for itself in the future.
We only have time for 2 more questions. We've got one back here that, yeah, sir.
Hello, hi. My name is Abu Tahir. I am from Bangla Patrika. It's a newspaper for Bangladeshi community. My question is, since, you know, in 90s, there was no free newspaper, and after that, the free newspaper came, the flow of the internet, the social media, and it has huge impact on the print media. Since then, you guys, could you tell us what is the impact on the rate card in terms of the, you know, when there was no free newspaper, there was nothing in the internet, the rate was a general rate, but there is the impact after the flow of the internet and the social media. And number 2, the web publication. Do you think that you are making more money in the print edition, or you are making more money in the web edition?
All right. Well, for us, we're definitely making more money on the print edition than the web edition. And our rate card, because of free newspapers and because of the web, has not really changed significantly because of that. It's changed because of, you know, the times and what's just going on in the industry in general, but not because of free newspapers. They have not really been even part of the thought of what we charge for our advertising. Anyone else want to answer that at all?
I'll just, I will disagree with my because I don't believe really in print. To me, digital is the future. But we have a big problem with the digital is to be able to find a way to make money. So when we solve that problem, I think it's where we going to really thrive, because the new generation and the generations coming, I won't believe that they will be holding, I might be wrong, but to me, the big challenge today is to find either creative ways to make money. It can be doing translation on the side, selling stuff on the side, to be able to put back into your publication, to be able to strive or find the solution with the digital ad.
All right, we've got our last question right here.
I actually would like to speak to that.
Actually, no,
Well,
please.
I would
We've
like
got
to
one
speak to
more
that.
question.
We do have a model for digital that works. We do. I just told
Excuse
you
me,
what
I
it
am
is, and I'm happy to
moderating.
speak about it. Digital has much lower costs than print. Digital has much lower costs than print,
Cara,
and we do have a
We're
model.
trying to let other people answer questions, please.
So, thank you. So my question is, you know, we're all concerned about digital. I mean, I make my money in print, but there's an issue with digital that is, I believe, the future. Has anybody found anything that breaks through? Because the problem with digital is there's so much out there. There's a lot of free information, and there's every topic that you know, could possibly be thought of. We cannot compete with big publications like New York Times, Wall Street Journal, etc. Has anybody found any type of topic that breaks through? That you mentioned that you have increased digital viewership. How are you doing that?
I think, you know, from my perspective, you know, and people have touched on this, is good content is everything, right?
It's about scale. Sorry.
So, no, I
It's
don't,
about eyeballs. It's not about eyeballs. It's not about clicks. Okay? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go
no
ahead.
problem.
Go ahead.
So, I think, you know, from my perspective is, if you have a good story, people will read it.
And
So, you know, what I'm finding is that, you know, what you'll see with a lot of newspapers is, particularly with community newspapers, is you open them up and the borough president speaking somewhere is in 5 different outlets. So in print, that's okay. But in digital, you know, if you are the 3rd person to publish the same story, 20 people will read it. If you're the first person to publish that story, and again, a good story, it's got to be good quality, you know, it'll be read exponentially more. So I think timing is important. You know, you can't just publish content when you feel like it.
And I also feel that there is a place for social media in this, though Cara does not agree. So Facebook, for instance, okay.
I'm not against social media as PR. I'm not against social media. I'm against social media as a paid media buy. Did everybody get that? Okay.
We have used it, and we've used it successfully, especially Facebook, to get our stories out there and getting traffic back to our websites. It is a very good tool. Twitter can be used for that as well. But Facebook, especially getting those likes, being able to get those media buys on Facebook as well, it can be a challenge, but it also can produce. So I want to thank everybody so much for joining us today.